inflammation from that visceral fat accumulating over a period of time that causes that problem. So I make that distinction because I don't want anybody to get a scan and say, well, I got nothing wrong with me and I got all this visceral fat. It's because that means you just recently accumulated. Why? Could be stress. You know, you get a stressful thing, you get a sick kid, you're stressed out, you get fired from your job, your company's, you know, going down, you're losing your business, whatever, you start accumulating visceral fat, or, you know, you just suddenly go crazy on strawberry shortcake, you know, and you just go off in the deep end eating pizza and donuts or whatever, and you've been thin your whole life, and now suddenly you've gained all that weight. So, but most people, it looks like this, a slow progression of visceral fat being deposited within you. And when does it get started? Well, we scan people for the National Science Foundation as young as 4 years of age and could identify visceral fat inside of them. And consistently for the 4-year-old and the 90-year-old, the amount of visceral fat correlated to their lifestyle, what they ate. A lot of processed foods, carbohydrates, sweet things, bread, pasta, rice, muffins, cookies, candies, cakes, pizza, tortillas. Those things cause visceral fat. What doesn't? A diet eating meat. And we also saw if you ate vegetables, you had low visceral fat, but the amount of visceral fat being eliminated was accelerated when the vegetables were stopped and the individual just ate meat. Now, hold on. If you're vegan, you're vegetarian, and whole food plant-based, do not get ticked off at me. Don't turn me off. You can still lose that visceral fat. You can. I have vegans that are working with me and whole food plant-based people that eat whole food plant-based. And they're losing that visceral fat. Now, not as fast as somebody on the carnivore diet, but they're losing it by eliminating processed foods. So they're just eating vegetables, no bread, no pasta, not eating rice, not eating tortillas. They're just eating vegetables in whole form. And that is allowing to eliminate that visceral fat. So no political agenda here. My agenda is health optimization. I'm just sharing what I have observed anecdotally in the 7 years of studying for the National Science Foundation, the elimination of chronic disease. So if you're vegan, I'd love to work with you. If you're listening, vegetarian, I'd love to help you focus in on that area. And this applies to vegans, carnivores, paleo, keto. You need to see underneath the hood what's going on in your engine of your car. What is the condition? And you just can't tell from the outside unless you're, now I shared that one outside sign. And another one I'll share with you is spider veins, telangiectasias. So what we saw as this visceral fat is eliminated, the arteries actually improve. And I'll show you an interesting scan of that, this image here, where this individual came in as bad blood flow in their middle cerebral artery of their brain arteries, and a big occlusion right here. And in 9 months, that artery was opened up, and that artery was opened up when they eliminated their visceral fat. But it gets eliminated pretty fast. So look at this one's brand new. It has never even come out on podcast, Rena. You're the first one to see this. Actually, first podcast to get this. So this is a big, same artery, okay? Atherosclerotic cardiovascular plaque in the middle cerebral artery, big blockage there. And then look how it's restored and opened up. But it wasn't 9 months. I mean, can you imagine that? What is that artery? It's the number one artery that strokes. It's the most common site for an artery for a stroke patient. Does that get your attention? This thing opened up. 3 months. 3 months. No stenting, no drugs. It was lifestyle. Cutting out carbohydrates, sprinting, doing a cold showers, doing a hot sauna, going outside, getting sun, not wearing sunscreen, and not covering up and not being afraid of the sun. that we've been around for millions of years, but getting it. So why is that sun good? Because it produces a wonderful molecule called nitric oxide. It won the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 1992. It's incredibly important, and it helps improve your cardiovascular health. So that's why it's one of the interventions that we try to have patients do to open up their arteries, get rid of visceral fat, is to get sunshine. You probably casually have observed that generally, not always the case, but generally people that have a nice tan tend to have a little bit less body fat. And people that tend to be really obese kind of pale. And then if you go in nursing homes, those people are really pale, a lot of disease. They never get in the sun. So don't be afraid of the sun. I'm just going to tell my dermatology, my beloved dermatology colleagues, you're wrong about the sun, okay? Get people healthy. They can enjoy the sun, tolerate the sun, exploit the sun, benefit from the sun. But keep them in their house using sunscreen, eating processed foods, and giving them medications and sunscreen is going to destroy their health. And they're just not going to benefit from it. So these arteries open up as you get rid of visceral fat. And so one form you can't scan yourself at home, but I brought this up to pay attention to another thing that you can track on your skin, spider veins. Okay, so these spider veins, in case you don't know what they look like, I'll give you an image, a photograph. Here, sometimes they can be seen in your eyelid, okay? Because it's thin skin, it's their capillaries, and they turn purple. And the reason they turn purple is the blood is backing up in those capillaries. That doesn't sound good, backing up blood. You want your blood to be going like this, like a water pump and a radiator and a car engine, running nice and smooth. An old car that hasn't been well maintained, the water not so good, and hoses are clogged, and it's kind of an example of humans that get a lot of visceral fat. Their arteries get clogged and everything starts falling apart. So if you got these spider veins on your eyelids, another common site for them on your ankles, women get a lot of them on their